And welcome to another Great Lakes Divide live stream here on YouTube, powered by FederalWilliams.com. I'm your host, Adam Biggers. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. You can follow Great Lakes Divide at GL Divide, and you can find us on Facebook at Great Lakes Divide. Friday, my favorite day of the week. It is the place to be. Today, we're having the Mr. Spots score prediction, your player of the game prediction. It used to just be score prediction, but thanks to you guys, viewer input, we have now added the player of the game prediction. So we're going to get into a Wisconsin preview, talk about availability this week. Any lingering questions from Maryland? I don't feel like there really are any, so let's kind of keep the focus on tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. kickoff, Ann Arbor, Wisconsin, ESPN College Game Day. It's kind of a big game, so we're going to talk about that. Any other questions? I know there's going to be certain things that come up. I'll do my best to answer them. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So hopefully I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I do know that you guys have seen things and it's been kind of ugly the past, I don't know, 12 hours or so. So let's, I'm going to go ahead and tweet the live link. I want to give a shout out to Wes Weber, who suggested, he said, why don't you wear all yellow because it'll help with the focus. I'm trying to, again, adjust the settings on the focus. Might be my lighting. It might be the lighting coming off the laptop. It might be the fact that maybe the camera thinks it's trying to focus on all these faces in the pictures. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it doesn't look bad. So Justin Green says, so we need to talk. I didn't think I'd gotten this out of hand. Justin, I'll do my best, man. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but it is kind of it's a dicey subject because you don't want to step into the crap and then you have the crap on your shoe, right? And then you end up kind of smelling like crap a little bit. And I don't want that to happen. I feel like that I have a pretty solid reputation, and a lot of others do too. And it's unfortunate when you see this kind of thing. And I think that, you know, he's kind of showing himself off for what he really is. And I mean, it's unfortunate. And then you start seeing, you know, the racial tweets and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's somebody really unraveling. Like I said last time when he went at Newsom and all this other stuff, it's just it's really sad. So hold on, let me tweet these links real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I do know that it's on your guys' mind because you see it on social media. We talk a lot about what you guys think and what fans think on this live stream. I think that's what makes it interesting, that you guys have a lot of input. And what you have to say about things like that is important. And it is important to at least raise some kind of awareness when it comes to, look, these are the people who really do the work. These are the people who take credit for it. And fortunately, there's only one of these guys in the Michigan community. I don't know if other schools have similar problems, but it really just goes beyond, you know, the normal scope of reality. It goes beyond, I think there's like a personality disorder involved. I really do. And it's, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but it's pretty bad. So Wes Weber Jr., $1.99 super chat says live report after the game at midnight. I'm going to try, Wes. I'm going to do my best. And guys, if you want to contribute to the super chat like Wes, don't be afraid. Any amount helps. I appreciate it. Whether it's $1.99, if you're like or Chris Hawk, you want to be a big baller and drop a 10 every now and then, that's cool with me too. But really appreciate the support, guys. And so the links are tweeted. Alan Pinkney says top 3 offensive players this year. For Michigan so far, I mean, it's got to be Shea, Karan, and probably Zach Gentry, I would think. But I think you could argue for DPJ. But I mean, Shea and Karan, I think, are firmly top 2. I think too a lot, and I just wrote about this, guys. Michigan's offensive line definitely deserves some credit right now because we're seeing these guys take shape from what looked like maybe a possible liability. People were talking about that in the preseason. Not the best performance against Notre Dame, to an offensive line that has helped Karan rush for more than 104 or 5 games played, has allowed Shea to be sacked only 8 times. He hasn't gotten himself killed out there. No quarterback injury. You know, I mean, he cramped up and had to be taken out, but that's not, you know, like an injury. I mean, I think this offensive line really deserves a lot more credit than it's getting. So I just tweeted the link right there. Justin Green says, I'm having my friends work at Twitter look into it. Yeah, and guys, the best thing instead of contributing and, you know, getting in a sparring match, and you guys know me, I'm kind of feisty. I gotta chill out sometimes. The best thing to do is just report it and make it people aware. And that, I think that's the best way to take care of the problem, rather than engaging with him and, like I said, going back and forth. And you know, and I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I have before, and the blatant BS on Twitter can be really difficult to ignore, no matter, you know, no matter what you think of yourself or your work or what other people think of you and the work that you do. I mean, I think Mason Brew actually described it best and said he's a stain. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's a bad car wreck. Everybody's looking, and he's laughing. He's laughing at the people giving him attention. If you look at his tweets, he's laughing at this. So I mean, don't contribute to this guy's, you know, artificial, overly inflated ego. Just don't read his crap. You know who's there. I know sometimes it can be difficult to ignore the rumors and everything like that, but I mean, this guy buys his followers. You can audit his Twitter handles, or they're all more than fake. 10% of his personal followers are real. Like 30% of the ones for Chat Sports are real. So that's all the time I want to spend on that, guys. I mean, I know it's a hot topic, and I know that the thing with Rashawn's, I mean, it's despicable. And then to go and tweet about, you know, in support of Larry Prout, that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to separate yourself from the job. I don't have any emotional, personal connection to Michigan, but I respect the players. I respect the staff. I respect the program. I respect what they're trying to do. And then when you kind of go off on this tangent, and then you start bringing, you know, a family that has no connection to you into this, I mean, that's when it really starts getting, when you see a guy's true colors. And again, that's it. You guys got me to talk about it. Justin Green, great job, but I knew it was going to be addressed, so we'll take care of it. But any questions about Wisconsin? Alex Hornibrook, Scott Nelson, starting safety, he's out for the first half. I have a Badgers injury report. I'll take your score predictions here in a little bit. Brought to you by Mr. Spots. Mr. Spots, AnnArbor.com, 808 State Street in Ann Arbor. And I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Federal Williams, Mike Williams. If you're buying, selling, anything realty related in the state of Michigan, regardless of where you are, Flint, Ann Arbor, East Lansing, Traverse City, Grand Rapids, Detroit area, Mike Williams is your statewide go-to. FederalWilliams.com, FEDERAU Williams.com. And again, let Mike Williams know that Adam Biggers and Ryan Schuling sent you. And speaking of Ryan, we'll be recording a podcast later today, so check that out. We're aiming for about 4 o'clock this afternoon, so it'll be posted later this evening. So give that a listen. Let us know what you think. You can find that on iTunes as well. Alan Pinckney, is Karan top 10 running backs in the Big Ten? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, behind Jonathan Taylor, you might be able to. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is the alpha right now. He certainly has the numbers, but I mean, I think if you look at Karan Higdon, there's no doubting that he's at least the second best running back in the country. And I mean, he's among a handful of the best running back. I mean, in the Big Ten, he's among a handful of best running backs in the country. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Is he one of the best in the Big Ten? Yeah, without a doubt. Big Brother says, nice shirt color. Thanks. Yeah, this was from the 2016. See, and it's going out of focus. I don't understand. This is from the 2016 Flint area. It was the first one. Flint area versus Saginaw Bay City High School All-Star baseball game that I helped organize. Well, I don't really do that much. I help publicize it, I'll say that. Sean Brown of Mott College and the local high school coaches in the Flint area and Saginaw and Bay City areas, they organize it. I'm just part of a committee, but I try to do as much as I can. And yeah, this was our first one. It was a yellow one. We've had blue, and then we went back to yellow this year for 18, but the 18 one was oh wait, this is the 18 one. Never mind. The first one was yellow too. Anyway, Wes Weber, poll color. What color is Adam's shirt? Maize, yellow. Don't matter. Close enough to maize. B Strongism. We must be talking about Beetlejuice. Now that's one time. Can't say it twice. It'll appear. Sean DeBoer says, "How beat up is the Wisconsin defense?" Well, that's a great question. You guys want to start? I swear this focus thing is. I don't know what I can do about it. Do you guys want to start with the injury report, or do you want to do score predictions first? CJ Anyekuru says, "Hey, Adam, finally made it live." Hey, CJ, thanks for joining. Jamar Pennyman says, "Good morning, brother." Hey, Jamar, good morning. Wes Weber says Zach Harrison visiting game, and so is his good friend Velasquez. Fingers crossed. Alan Pinkney, how many yards Jonathan Taylor rushing for? He's averaging like 141 per game. And this brings up Wes Weber had a great stat right here. I really like this. Opponents versus Michigan against season average. Rush 59.1%, pass 58.1%, points 56.9%. Wisconsin, rush 86.2%, pass 97.4%, and points 67.88%. So basically, if these calculations hold true by our good friend Wes, Wisconsin will rush for 170 yards, and I'm sure that the majority of that would come from Jonathan Taylor, and that would mean that he reached a season average. So we haven't seen a running back rush for more than 100 yards against Michigan this year, and Jonathan Taylor's only been held to fewer than 100 yards 4 times in his career. He's played 18 games, 13 last year, including the bowl game, 5 games this year. So holding Jonathan Taylor to fewer than 100 yards is going to be a task for Michigan, regardless of how good this defense is. The numbers are there, proven. But then again, Jonathan Taylor has not faced the #1 defense in the country yet. So my memory serves me correct. I think he had 132 yards. We talked about this the other day against Michigan. So here, real quick, I'm going to get to the injury report. Scott Nelson not injured, but he's out for the first half because of a targeting penalty, questionable. And this is pulled this injury report from Bucky's Fifth Quarter off SB Nation. They do a good job of tracking this stuff. Cornerback Travion Blaylock, right leg, is questionable. Inside linebacker Griffin Grady, right leg, is questionable. Cornerback Deron Harrell, upper body, is questionable. Defensive end Isaiah Loudermilk, questionable left leg. Actually, since this report, Loudermilk was ruled out against Michigan. Running back Bredrick Shaw, left leg, he's questionable. Outside linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel, right leg, is questionable. Cornerback Caesar Williams, left leg. And then there's the out for the seasons, tight end Xander Nouveau, outside linebacker Mason Platter, defensive end Garrett Rand, defensive end Blake Smithback. Blake Smithback, that's a very Wisconsin name. Say the name Blake Smithback, and I bet Wisconsin's one of about 3 or 4 schools that you say that kid plays for. So there's your Badgers injury report. CJ Anyekuru says, nice shirt, by the way. Way to rep the maize without supporting the good guys. It's this is also color Mott College. That's where I went. Let's go Bears. Greg Ryan says, hey, Biggs. Hello, chat. Hey, Greg, thanks for joining. All right, so we went over the injuries. Alan and Sean made that call. B Strongism says, Wisconsin defense is not the same as before. They give up a ton of yards. That's true. Gave up a ton in Nebraska. Greg Ryan says, Taylor will be over 100 yards, but still well below average. Jamar Pennymont says, hey, bro, do you think we can beat Ohio State this year? I mean, in the beginning of the year, Jamar, I predicted no, only because they've only beaten Ohio State 3 times since 2000. But, I mean, we got to see the season play out, right? I mean, initial prediction in the beginning of the year, no. All right. I see some score predictions rolling in. I'm going 28-24. You guys made me tell you earlier this week, but that was my season prediction. And even given the injuries, I do think this will be a close game. And I know what Nebraska was able to do to Wisconsin, but, you never can tell night game right now. And I think Alex Hornibrook's pretty good. He has struggled against Michigan, and I want to bring up some stats from Saturday Traditions. Dustin Schutte. Dustin used to write for FanRag Sports. I follow him. He does great work when it comes to Big Ten football, so give him a follow. And it's SCHUTTE. So Dustin, SCHUTTE. And let me get on that real quick because this is a pretty interesting stat right here, and I'm reading directly from Dustin's piece, which says that Alex Hornibrook has to have the game of his life, basically, for Wisconsin to beat Michigan. In his previous 2 meetings with the Wolverines defense, Hornibrook has completed 40% of his throws for 231 yards with just 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. The last time he was in Ann Arbor, 2016, as a freshman, and you guys remember that game, that was a Jordan Lewis interception game. He was just 9-25 for 88 yards and threw 3 picks. Probably safe to say those numbers won't cut it this year. In a lot of ways, the requirements are similar to what Hornibrook has been asked to do through most of his career, Madison. Find playmakers and protect the ball. The difference this week, though, is that Wisconsin has to be able to stretch the field in some way, shape, or form. And he goes on to note that after 5 games, Wisconsin has has just 4 passing plays that have netted 30 yards or more, one of the lowest totals in college football. It's also one of 3 Big Ten offenses that hasn't completed a pass of 40-plus yards this season. The other 2 are Illinois and Rutgers. So threat of the deep ball doesn't really seem like it's going to be short passes, I think, that help Wisconsin. And again, that's going to go with Kalik and Devin. Noah Furbush, those guys are going to Tyreek Kinnell. I keep watching these replays and stuff and hearing them say Kinnell, and it's got me going back to saying it wrong. It's Tyreek Kinnell. Those guys are going to be key in terms of starting the short pass. As far as, David Long, whoever we see at corner, Ambry Thomas, Lavert Hill, obviously that's going to be a challenge. Mike Zordich said he didn't feel that a left-handed quarterback was going to make that much of a difference. I was thinking about, just the delivery. They're expecting to come from one side, to come from another side. And Sherwoody14 actually on YouTube commented and said, they roll out an opposite way as well. So, I thought that was a great point. So I am kind of curious if the left-handed thing is going to play into it. Maybe it's not. It's not baseball. They're not, have to, the ball looks way different coming from a left-handed pitcher than it does right-handed pitcher. And things like that. So it's not baseball as much as I try to tie baseball into everything, I know, but I'm wondering if a left-handed quarterback, if anything, a left-handed quarterback, they can prove a left-handed quarterback hasn't performed well against Michigan. And I think Hornibrook's the only lefty that they've faced that I can call off the top of my head. So anyway, I'm going 28-24 Michigan. Alan Pinkney says 34-12. Wes Weber Jr. says 27-20. 27-20. Aaron Quinney says we need to watch Dixon. He turned that game last year with that punt return. That's true, but they need to watch the punt. They need to make sure that the fair catch. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I watched that play a few times last night, and I'm like, wake up. Somebody wake up. Pay attention. It's not so much that it was a dangerous return by Dixon. It was Michigan was not paying attention. Greg Ryan says 22-15 Michigan. Sean DeBoer says 31-20, and Sean, I'm assuming you're going with Michigan. Greg Ryan says stats suggest Wisconsin quarterback plays better on the road. He passes for 70% per game. Wisconsin has the longest road winning streak in the nation. That's an excellent point, Greg. B Strongism says 38-17 Michigan statement game. Alan Pinkney wants to know, do you think Cron will rush for more than 100 yards against Wisconsin? I think that he's going to have to. I don't see this being – I think in the first half maybe, with a starting safety out, maybe Michigan will kind of try to pick on the secondary a little bit, but I do believe this is going to be a game one on the ground, and Wisconsin's got the advantage with Jonathan Taylor, but Michigan's offensive line's been pretty good of late. Karan Higdon's been very good this year, and we know what Michigan's defense can do. So if Taylor rushes for more than 100 yards and he's the focal point of Wisconsin's offense, which he is, if Michigan can at least try to contain him, they don't have to. Even holding him to fewer than 100 yards doesn't necessarily have to be the goal. Just don't allow him to score, basically. And I know that sounds pretty simple, but if they can manage Jonathan Taylor, then I think that's kind of the key to the game. And then of course, get to Hornibrook. But you control Hornibrook and Taylor. I think that in Michigan's defense, Michigan's defensive line, the linebackers have played really well. Kalik's been getting in the backfield. Josh Uche's been getting in the backfield. Chase Winovich. I like Michigan's chances against Hornibrook, and I do like Michigan's defense's chances in terms of just being able. If Taylor's going to be the guy, well, they know they have to focus on him, and I think they can at least stop him from winning the game for Wisconsin. Jonathan Taylor is going to get his numbers. He just does, but it's the quality of numbers. And the rushing, and also a great stat brought up by Dustin. With rushing too, I want to bring this up again. This is from Dustin Schutte of Saturday Tradition. Wisconsin isn't going to be able to rely on its rushing attack, which ranks as 4th best in the nation with a 287 yards per game average. Not against Don Brown's defense, which includes names like Chase Winovich, Rashawn Gary, and Devin Bush, among others. Paul Chris is going to have to part ways with his 3 yards and a cloud of dust mentality, at least to a degree. There were some numbers here. Hold on. I promise I'm getting to them. These are passing numbers anyway. They're going to rely on the rushing. I'm sorry, I can't read today. They're going to rely on the rushing. Passing, though, and this is another thing that bodes well for Michigan's secondary. in the previous 2 meetings with the Wolverines, blah, blah, blah. I already read that. Let me get to where. Okay, they were rushing numbers. Out of the 500, I thought I read it correctly. Out of the 579 yards Michigan has surrendered, 355 have come with the Maize and Blue leading by at least 2 touchdowns, and 240 rushing yards have come in the fourth quarter. Translation, most of the yardage Michigan has allowed has come in garbage time. All right, there we go. Thank you, Dustin. I'm sorry that I butchered that to no end, but I tried. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and let them be none. Let them be known. I said none. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81, and you can follow Great Lakes Divide at GL Divide. Jamar said, Ab Black Attack says 14-14 at the half. Well, do you have a final? Jamar Pennymon says, I say this game will be close. Michigan wins 24-21. Alan Pinckney says, do you think Michigan will open the playbook and let Shea open up since this does define the season? I mean, we've seen the playbook open, right? But, I mean, I think this is going to be a game that's won on the ground. I think this is going to be a game that's, going to be won with power. And I thought Sean McCune made a great point during availability this week. And he's, known for his blocking, that they want to out-physical teams. So if you couple the offensive line's progression and being able to push back rather than just kind of keep from being pushed, and then you look at how well Sean McCune's blocking, look at blocking Ben Mason can do, True Wilson. I mean, you have some guys out there that are looking to get physical, and I think this is going to be a physical game. And I'm kind of wondering if 28-24 might be a little bit of a stretch. Maybe it's 24-20 Michigan. I mean, I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think 28-24 is too outlandish, but again, at the same time, Michigan's defense giving up more than 3 touchdowns. I don't know if I see that, but Wisconsin's a good team, so I'm kind of torn between that. I think 28-24 is fair, a close margin. Michigan by less than a touchdown, I think, is probably the most logical. So Jamar says 24-21. CJ Onyekuru says 42-24 Michigan. Ablack Attack says Higdon gets going, and Shea stays away from the mistake. Then they play way better in the second half at home, especially 35-20 Michigan. CJ Onyekuru says Bush, Winovich, and Pay will have big games. B Strongism says Adam, let's bet some push-ups that Taylor hits that stays under 100. Okay, I will. What do you want? We got to record them. We can do that. I do a lot of pull-ups. I have one of those little pull-up bars. I'm not these aren't exactly pipes here, but I can do some push-ups a little bit. The pull-up bar, man, I'm telling you, put it in your doorway. That thing is just really convenient. Just do a pull-up anytime you go in the kitchen. And I eat all the time, so it's right above my kitchen, in my kitchen doorway. So every time I go in the kitchen to grab something to eat, I do 10 pull-ups. Every time I walk by there to get something to drink, I do 10 pull-ups. It's also by the back door where I let my dogs out. So every time I go by the back door, I do 10 pull-ups. So yeah, we'll do a push-up challenge. If you guys set the amount. Keep it realistic. If Jonathan Taylor rushes for fewer than 100 yards, I owe B Strongism X amount of push-ups. If he does rush for more than 100, which I think is probable, I don't know if he's going to go for 140 as average, but I mean, if he might go 101, 102, 110. If that happens, then B Strongism owes me push-ups and has to record them. So how many are we going, guys? Sean DeBoer says tailgating on Scioto Church if you need some grub before kickoff. That does not sound like a bad idea. Jeremy Turner says, what's good, Biggs? 24-17 Michigan. I don't know where Scioto Church. Sean, direct message me are you on Twitter? Direct message me the info. I think maybe you could send me a private message or something on YouTube. And unless you want everybody to know where your tailgate is, let me know where it is. Jeremy Turner says, what's good, Biggs? 24-17 Michigan. Hey, Jeremy. Ablack Attack says, is it a stretch to think that Gary isn't helping as much as we all hoped he would? Pay seems legit, even though it's a small sample size. Okay, and Rashawn's questionable. I know there's a bunch of rumors about Rashawn and threats to blackmail his mom and all this other crap, and tricking her into her talking to somebody that she didn't know. Whatever the case may be. Look, Rashawn's right shoulder has been banged up all year. I've talked about it. Michigan has at least referenced it. Jim Harbaugh has acknowledged it. So this isn't top secret insider information. This is stuff that we've been talking about for weeks. A certain person said he wasn't going to play against Notre Dame. We saw that was true, but it's no secret that Rashawn's had some type of minor injury all year, because we've been talking about it since Notre Dame. He's been dinged up. A lot of these guys, and again, define injury. I mean, yeah, he's missed some playing time. They've had to take him out. They held him out as a precautionary measure against Maryland. Questionable, but no, I don't think he's been a disappointment, or I think he helps a lot. So, Alan Pinkney says 30 push-ups. B Strongism says deal. Are we doing regular, or are we doing the diamond, like the military? I'm not doing the Jay-Z Illuminati thing. I'm doing the diamond push-up thing. How are we doing it? And can I use? And actually, that pull-up bar actually comes down, and you can use it for a push-up. You can use it for push-ups as well. So can I use that? It's like a walker for old people, but only for push-ups. Actually, it targets your pecs and your shoulders a lot more, I think, than a traditional push-up does. So 40, B Strongism says. I don't know, man. I might have to see a picture, B Strong. And is this consecutive 40? Can I take a breather? And do they just have to be in rapid succession, or just put myself up 40 times anytime, any way possible? I'd rather do a pull-up challenge, but push-up challenge is fine. And I'll do 30, because 40 you might kill me. So that's the bet between B Strongism and I. It is official. If Jonathan Taylor rushes for fewer than 100 yards, I owe B Strongism 30 push-ups. If Jonathan Taylor goes over 100 yards, B Strongism owes me 30 push-ups. So that's the fun of the show. I'm glad that we can have a good time. He said, however you want, bro. He said that's the confidence coming out. B Strongism. Don't tell me you're like one of these CrossFit competitive bodybuilder guys. You spend your life in the gym. You're gonna make me look bad. He's gonna do if he loses the bet, he's gonna do one-handed push-ups while he's filming it on his camera and be like, "What's up, Biggers? Don't embarrass me." Greg Ryan says, "Hold on, that's a reply." So we got through what Wisconsin injury report. I'm seriously gonna chuck this phone in like 2 seconds. This focus thing is really irritating. So we got through Wisconsin's injuries. You guys know about Michigan's injuries. Do we have to go over them again? We can if you want. For those who don't watch the stream on a regular basis, or maybe need to catch up on this week's news, Michael Dwumford's not been ruled out for the season. The injury didn't look as bad as it looked on TV. Jim Harbaugh's already said that, so throw that out there. Tariq Black's return pending. He's progressing nicely. That was the last word that Harbaugh gave on that. What else do we have? Carlo Kemp. We haven't heard any updates on Carlo Kemp. Aubrey Solomon is practicing. His mother tweeted a photo that Aubrey sent to her. She retweeted it. So Aubrey's practicing. As far as a return, I don't know. They haven't given us word, but he's practicing. So obviously that's a positive for Aubrey. Janmar Pennymont says, do you think that we could beat Michigan State this year? Yeah, I do. And again, I was asked this question the other day. The only thing I think that's in Michigan State's favor is that it's at home, and that Michigan State, I mean, it's a rivalry game, so we know, you can kind of throw stats out the window a little bit, but Michigan State has won 8 of the past 11. So, I don't like to lean on history. We're talking about this year's team right now, today, right now. I mean, if Michigan and Michigan State were to play tomorrow right now, I don't care where it was, I think Michigan would beat them. But again, I think we'll see, what Michigan State's really made of when it goes to Penn State. That's not going to be an easy game for the Spartans. Diane 20 says, do we see Muhammad get more playing time this week? I don't think he hasn't gotten any playing time, has he? I don't think so. 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 I I stay pretty glued to the participation sheets. I don't think we've seen Mustafa this year, have we? Maybe on special teams. I don't think he's gotten in there as a tight end, has he? Correct me if I'm wrong. I was wrong on Jalen Mayfield. He did play the final snap against Maryland. I didn't see him throughout the whole game. He wasn't listed on the participation sheet, but he did play the final snap. Jalen Mayfield, I asked Jim Harbaugh on Monday about Jalen, why we didn't see much of him, and he did say that Jalen's going through a little something. So I don't know exactly what that was. Is it an injury? I mean, I'm assuming so. When Harbaugh says going through a little something, that's usually what he means is an injury. Jedmar says we have to. Is it Jedmar or Jermar? I'm sorry, I can't. Jermar, my bad, man. Tell me if I'm saying your name wrong. He says we do need to talk about injuries for Michigan. It's like I'm not on your stream like that. All right, so I think I just went over him. Chris Evans is expected to play. Chris Evans dressed. He participated in warm-ups against Maryland. He didn't play. Jay Harbaugh told us this week that he expects Chris to play. So Camden Ogletree says, "What's up, Adam? Hey, Camden, thanks for coming in." A black attack says no playing time for Muhammad. Yeah, I haven't seen Mustafa get on the field yet. Ben Peterson says, just a quick recruiting tidbit. Quavarius Couch will be visiting for the game. He will be a tremendous get. Yes, I know. Michigan's all about Quavarius. If you want, I will. I'll pull up his profile right now. Maybe we can have one day a week dedicated to recruiting if enough of you guys want to get into it. But I know Florida State, Alabama, Clemson, all in on Quavarius. He's the number 28 ranked player nationally, number 2 athlete, number 1 prospect 2019 coming out of his home state of North Carolina. And he goes to his high school's Harding University in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he is visiting Michigan. It looks like he's got a scheduled visit for Florida State on November 23rd as well, according to his profile on 24/7 Sports. Camden Ogletree said, I thought he was injured. Yeah, I don't know the exact status on I think I want to say that I've seen him dress for warm-ups. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say that he's at least dressed. I'm trying to think back. What game was that? Because when I'm looking, I'll have my phone and I'll do the zoom and look down on the sidelines and everything, and I want to say that I've seen, his name in passing. I'm not positively sure, but yeah, I thought I was pretty certain that he hasn't played yet, and he hasn't. So he says, yes, it is Jermar. You said it right the second time. Yeah, I'm sorry. That R and that M, it looks like an N, and then I don't know. Maybe I need my eyes checked. Anyway, Parth Patel says, what's going on? Adam, what did I miss? We're 33 minutes into it, Parth, so you missed a little bit, but you're in here enough. You know what we talk about. If you have any questions about Wisconsin, we talked about Alex Hornibrook. Gave you guys an injury update on Michigan and Wisconsin. We went through the score predictions. We have not gone thoroughly through player of the game predictions, so let's go ahead and do that right now. And Parth, if you want to throw out your score prediction, go ahead. William, man, I've got it. Third time's got to be the charm. William Gentino. Did I get it? Did we get it? 27-17 Michigan, says William. C. Quave 10 says Michigan wants to host Crouch on a less star-studded visit so they don't pay less attention to him. Parth Patel says 28-17. And Parth, I'm assuming you're going with Michigan. Big Bubble Blue says he's getting ready to go sleep on the diag. Have fun. It's going to be cold. I'm breaking out the winter jacket. Or the winter coat, actually. The pea coat. I'm not really in love with the pea coat. I'm not going to lie. But it beats some of the other styles. But it's not bulky. And it's really warm. So I'm going with form and function over aesthetics on this one. I'm I'm not a fashion guru, as you guys can tell. But yeah, if you're looking for a winter coat, get a pea coat. Those things are warm and they're not bulky. They look good on some people. On me, they don't really look that great. I kind of look a little dorky, but I don't care. At least I'm not freezing. C-Quev10 says 35-13 statement game for Michigan. Corey Smith says, is Gary doing the same thing as Clowney not playing because of fear of injury? No. I would not compare that to what Davion Clowney did. He's been legitimately banged up a little bit in his right shoulder. I mean, Harbaugh's confirmed that. Rashawn has somewhat acknowledged it when we interviewed him. He didn't say, but he was joking around and said, when Angelique Shingelis brought up how trainers were looking at his right shoulder pads, he was joking and saying, oh, well, they're complicated. They're like special shoulder pads, whatever. But I think we've been around Rashawn enough to know body language and, when he uses humor and stuff. I mean, yeah, there's something going on with Rashawn. I mean, he's been questionable. Michigan has acknowledged that, so that part is true about Rashawn. Camden Ogletree, so is Gary not playing? That has not been determined. He's questionable. Michigan has been saying that he's questionable all week. I've done some work to confirm things and got the same response. So anybody who says otherwise is reaching and taking things out of context. Jeremiah says, I think we can win the Big Ten championship. If Michigan beats Wisconsin tomorrow night and continues to play the way that it has, I mean, a win over Michigan State is looking likely. I mean, I want to see what it does against Penn State, but Michigan's certainly in the position, a pretty good position in the East. I think maybe some help, if someone can knock off Ohio State, would obviously increase Michigan's chances. Parth Patel says, keep up the great content. I appreciate it, Parth, with a $1.99 super chat. Not only do you get to contribute, but then you get to see your comment highlighted as well. So I know that matters on the live streams because it looks cool. The Facebook ones, you could do like a bunch of like hearts and thumbs up and stuff, and Instagram's all like fluttering on the screen. Thought that was I don't know, that's a little too fancy for me. So we could just do the highlighted comments. That's cool. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Parth. Thank you. Ben Peterson says, matchup to pay attention to tomorrow night. Michigan offensive line and tight ends versus the Wisconsin linebacking core. They're an impressive group. Thoughts? Yes, TJ Edwards. And actually, TJ is the only Badger that's among Big Ten leaders in tackles, believe it or not. And Wisconsin's usually got a pretty rough and tough defense. But, yeah, TJ Edwards, certainly the one to watch, I think. Jeremy Turner says, I'm excited to see Michigan's O-line versus Wisconsin D-line. I am too. I think this is a big game. Again, here, guys, I'll drop that link in here. This is a big game for Michigan. It's learning how to tire out opposing defensive lines. Well, tomorrow night's going to be another chance for it to prove it. This is a big-time opponent. I thought they did well against Maryland. They did well against Nebraska, but this is the first-place team in the Big Ten West. So right now, it's everything's kind of been a stepping stone to here. All right. Check Twitter real quick. Any other questions, comments, guys, on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. You can find Great Lakes Divide online at greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com. That's the best mobile version. Laptop, greatlakesdivide.com. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict. What else was I going to say? Follow on Twitter at GL Divide and on Facebook at Great Lakes Divide. I think that's all the plugs. That's all the plugs. Whitney Jackson. Hey, Whitney. She says 24-17 Michigan, Devin Bush, and Gentry big games. Yeah, let's see those players. Let's end today's show with the player of the game, guys. Big Bubble Blue says Shea needs to attack their secondary. They're young. And what does TJ mean? Greg Rice says Bush versus Taylor. That's what I'm looking for, Greg. That's the one I'm looking for. And I wrote about that. Let me drop that in here right now, too. Wrote about that a couple days ago. Devin Bush. We might even see Cleek Hudson, but I think Devin Bush and Taylor, that's gonna be a pretty good one-on-one. Here's a link to that. with video. Gino Gonzalez says, player of the game is Shea Patterson, no doubt. Group O-line defense going to do their thing. If the O-line has average to above average day and Shea is on, we win. I can agree with that. Troy Radcliffe says, I'm looking for wide receivers to have a big night. Wisconsin's very young in that secondary. I think DPJ might have a big game. C1210, can Shea play even better? Yeah, I mean, Shea's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he could play better. And again, guys, some people cite the numbers. Okay, well, he was Ole Miss's only option. Now he's got a bunch of guys around him. Shea makes it go. Yeah, Shea's a playmaker, but he's got other guys who can help him out. And the offensive line has certainly helped him out. Tight end blocking has certainly helped him out. True Wilson's at running back has certainly helped him out. So do I think Shea can get better? Yeah, I think we see Shea get better and better each and every week, really. I mean, you're seeing him throw the ball downfield more. The offense is opening up. I mean, yeah, can Shea get better? Absolutely, Shea can get better. Jeremy Turner says, player of the game, offensive line, and Kalik Hudson. Parth Patel says, odds Gentry makes a throw tomorrow night. I'd rather see him toss it than Grant Perry. Hey, and Zach was a 4-star quarterback. He was a pretty good quarterback in high school. We have asked Zach about that before, and he kind of smiled, and I'm sure that there's a play that they have in the works with Zach Gentry throwing the ball. Zach hasn't confirmed it, but based on, the way that he laughed about it, and I think he says, something like maybe. I mean, of course, it's logical to assume that with Zach Gentry being a former quarterback. Just like with Michigan State and the fake plays, I mean, the punters, Aaron Bates was a former Little Giants play. Aaron Bates was a former quarterback. They ran a trick play with punter Rocky Lombardi. Rocky is actually the backup quarterback. So, yeah, if you got him, use him. Michigan's got a former quarterback that can help with the gadget play, Zach Gentry. Zach Gentry, when he was pure quarterback, he could throw the ball 70 yards. He was telling us about that a few weeks ago. He joked that he said he'd probably tear his labrum if he tried that now, but I think Zach Gentry would be absolutely well suited for a trick play, and to ask him to throw the ball 30, 40 yards downfield would not be a problem. Brian Rusinski says his defensive player of the game is Josh Metellus. David Dusenberry says Devin Gill. Big Bubba Blue says defense cannot have another first quarter meltdown. Hey guys, I don't really think it was a meltdown against Maryland, right? I mean, they gave up a touchdown, but in general, we could go back and look at Northwestern, but that was a scoreless first quarter too. The first quarters have been we've seen. We've seen 3 scoreless first quarters. So it's not like the defense the offense just isn't going too. So the defense isn't to blame for that. If I'm understanding your comment correctly, Big Bubble Blue. Troy Radcliffe says, look for us to open up the playbook. Parth Patel says, I don't think we'll be that aggressive in that game. I don't expect to see a lot of tricks against Wisconsin. It is a night game. I do think that they're going to want to keep the ball. Use power football, primarily keep the ball on the ground, and we'll see what type of health Chris Evans is in. That's going to be a big help if he's back and he's 100% healthy. But obviously, Karan Higdon has proven to be a workhorse, so I'm expecting to see a lot of Karan. But again, tight ends, fullbacks, I think they're going to make a big difference in this game. Ben Mason, Zach Gentry, Sean McCune, Nick Eubanks. Corey Smith wants to know, will Carlo Kemp be playing? But I haven't been told. Can't confirm. They said they were still evaluating him last time we asked, and that was on Monday. So haven't heard any news on Carlo yet. Any final score predictions, player of the game predictions, guys? And again, I want to thank Tim and Keith at Mr. Spots, 808 State Street in Ann Arbor, for sponsoring the Friday shows. And Mr. Spots, you pick them. I don't know. We'll come up with some kind of catchy title for it. But it's score prediction and player of the game predictions brought to you by Mr. Spots. And again, thanks to the title sponsor, FederalWilliams.com. That's FEDERAU Williams.com. Let me try that one more time. FEDERAU Williams.com. Contact Mike Williams. Whether you're buying or selling in the state of Michigan, doesn't matter where. Mike Williams is your statewide go-to. And we have a 30-21 SBM says 30-21 Michigan. Drew Fortier says Hornibrook 3 interceptions coming our way. Camden Ogletree 24-17 Michigan. Big Bubba Blue says, look out for Ben Watson, boys. B. Watt. Brandon Watson. Is that who you're talking about? B. Watt. He's had a quiet. He's not the loudest guy. I asked Mike Zordich about this. He's not the loudest guy, but Brandon Watson is absolutely deserves all the attention that he's going to get. And he hasn't gotten a ton of attention, and I don't understand why not. But I mean, he's already been, I think, Defensive Player of the Week or Special Teams Player of the Week, one of the two already. He's got the pick 6. Yeah, Brandon Watson's had a pretty nice year. 5th-year senior, knows what he's doing. Experience. A guy like Brandon Watson will come in handy tomorrow night. Wes Weber Jr. says Ben Mason scores a touchdown and hits people. I agree. He might eat a Badger. He might go over and try to take a bite out of Bucky on the sideline. Drew Fortier says bench Mason, player of the game. In a game like this, Ben Mason just might be the player of the game. I'll give you guys my offensive player of the game and defensive player of the game before we go. My defensive player of the game is going to be Devin Bush. My offensive player of the game, Shea Patterson. And I know it's easy to pick a quarterback, but I'm going to go Shea and Devin because I do think that Shea's gonna have to make sure just everything holds together. Tomorrow night, guys, is going to be a game. These guys are waiting around. There's excitement. I imagine there's going to be a period, during the waiting period where they get a little bit tired and they're like, clock watching and, let's get this thing started. So there's a lot of things that go into the mentality of a night game. So I do think it's going to be a close game. I do think that Shea's going to make a huge difference and just keep things calm. No turnovers. You can't, you got to sustain some long drives. A long drive, Sean McCune mentioned, or what they really can tell is when they're wearing down the opposing defensive line. These long drives. Troy Radcliffe says 2017 Michigan. Corey Smith says Badgers secondary is decimated. Shea needs to throw the ball more. We might see that in the first half because Scott Nelson is suspended. They're starting safety. Free safety, I believe. Sequev 10 says Gentry offensive player of the game and Winovich defensive player of the game. Those are good picks too. Yeah, I can see Zach Gentry again. I'm going with Shea, but I don't think it's too far out of bounds to go with a power position player, right? Like a tight end. Zach Gentry, Sean McCune. Who knows? Nick Eubanks has had a couple big catches. Maybe Nick comes out and has a big game. Ben Mason, of course, is a good candidate. Troy Radcliffe says, I think when we get to the red zone, we need to cut our beast mode 42 loose. Park Patella says, how do you think the players prep for a night game? Do they take naps and watch TV until it's time to zone? I know that it's a later schedule, and I was asking McCune about this. And a couple other guys. It is a later schedule. They get to the stadium later. They're going to eat breakfast probably at the same time. They're going to eat lunch. I think it alters their schedule a little bit. But like I said, there's probably a period a little bit to where there is the clock watching, a nap. I don't see being out of question. Whatever they can do to stay loose, relaxed, and patient, I think is whatever. So whether it's they're sitting around watching movies, or listening to music, or whatever they're doing. I don't know if they're watching movies, maybe film, but listening to music, doing some light stretching and things like that, making sure they're hydrated. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I'm speculating. But based on what Sean told me, it's basically the same thing. It's just a little bit, some things are done a little bit later and some things are extended because there is that waiting time. So Ballgame 41 says, I'm looking at Kwity Paye starting to look more and more comfortable. He's been getting moved around a lot. Kind of how people want Gary used. Hudson is due for a huge game too. DJS says 27-17 Michigan. Gentry is going to have a big night. Bush on defense. So Gentry and Devin Bush are his players of the game. 27-17 is the score. And the stupid focus. Come on, man. Here comes the trouble, says Nordine kicks his first game winning field goal. 12-10 Michigan. Okay. 12-10 Michigan. That's a... Wes Weber says most important player, Jake Moody. Kickoff. Any other questions, guys? We're going on 50 minutes here. 11:38 Eastern time. Have a couple things I want to do in preparation. Not sure what time I'm going to be down there tomorrow, but if anybody is down there, be sure to tweet me pictures, tweet me videos. If you have some good tailgate food, like Sean DeBoer mentioned, I'll do my best to try and stop by. I will never turn down free food, and you know, obviously to get a chance to hang out with you guys a little bit, if possible. Tailgating's fun. I just don't get to do it. You know, that's not I can't go out there and have fun and party it up and then go cover a game. I will stop by and eat food though if it's offered. So, just saying. Any other questions, guys? Any final questions? Troy Radcliffe says, I think Shady P is going to throw for 300. That'll be his first 300-yard game at Michigan. I like it, Shady P. Is that a voice text correct, or is that are you using the giving him a nickname, Shady P? Big Bubba Blue says, look for my Urban Meyer sign. David Dusenberry, Solomon's still questionable. Yeah, we haven't really, and I mean questionable. I don't think that they were even saying that he was questionable for this game. I think there's just no update. I don't think we'll see Aubrey back this weekend. He is practicing though. So Drew 48 says, give us a bold take for the game. No turnovers by Michigan. Not one turnover. Not a tipped interception. Not a fumble. Not a mishandled snap. That's my bold prediction. 0 turnovers for the Wolverines. 0. Ben Peterson says, what's Ryan think about Sparty this week? We'll talk about that in the podcast. Thanks for bringing that up, Ben. Ryan's been critical of the Spartans, and justifiably so. And we're going to talk about that. We'll get into his in-depth analysis during the Great Lakes Divide podcast. Shout out to Heather at Record Lounge for providing us the music beds for that podcast, and Federal Williams also for sponsoring our podcast. But yeah, we will be discussing that. Big Bubba Blue says, damn, that is bold. I like it. I'll go as bold as possible. Bold within logic. 0 turnovers for Michigan, guys. That's my bold prediction. And that's okay. And hey, is B Strongism? Who bet me the push-ups? Was it B Strongism? I'll even go as far to add to the bet, to the push-up bet. If Michigan commits a turnover, I'll add 10 more push-ups to it, going from 30 to 40. Or they could be separate bet. Taylor doesn't rush for more than Taylor breaks 100 yards, he owes me 30. He doesn't, I owe him 30. But if Michigan has 0 turnovers, it'll be a separate 10 push-up bet, or I can add it on if I lose. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But if we want to incorporate that in there, that's fine with me. Ben Peterson says, excellent work, Adam. I appreciate it, Ben. Jeremiah says, hey, bro, take care, and may God bless you and everybody in your chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for the well wishes, guys. We're going to wrap it up for today. Again, follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Follow Great Lakes Divide at GL Divide. Check out our podcast later with Ryan Schuling. That's at greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com. Get our Facebook page, Great Lakes Divide. Ryan does a great job covering Michigan State. I do my best to cover Michigan. So I appreciate you guys watching. And again, one final warning. Please, 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 please make sure who you're getting your information from is a legit media source who doesn't have to use backdoor trickery, manipulation in order to get information and then spin it out of context for their own personal benefit. And yes, that is a direct mention to Beetlejuice. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you watching. Have a great Friday. We talked about this the other day. It's a night game. Pace yourself during the tailgating. Don't be Notre Dame guy that I got the video from when Ryan and I were in South Bend. Don't be that guy. Be responsible and have a great time. And if you do have a tailgate, if you want to invite me to it, that's cool. If not, make me jealous and tweet me photos of the food that you're having. Michigan always has really good food, but nothing compares to the true tailgate food. So if you guys want to make me jealous, go out and tweet me photos of all the chili that you're eating, cornbread, muffins, ribs, barbecue chicken, hamburgers. I'm getting very hungry now. So tweet me at AdamBiggers81, and we can have fun with it and brag about which one of you guys had the best tailgate. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But this is always a fun chat. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you tomorrow night, late night, from the Big House, following Michigan's primetime ESPN College Game Day matchup with the Wisconsin Badgers. And again, final shout out to our title sponsor, FederalWilliams.com, FEDERAU Williams.com. Contact Mike Williams for all of your realty needs in the state of Michigan, whether you're buying or selling. And subscribe to my YouTube page, watch all the videos, follow me on Twitter, all that great stuff. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one, and we'll talk again tomorrow night. Oh, Big Bubba Blue says 21-12 Michigan. All right, Big Bubba Blue, we got your prediction in. 21-12 Michigan, says Big Bubba Blue. Thanks, guys. I'm going to get out of here.